Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you a very simple meal prep. This is what I do. I like to cook my food as fresh as I can, and not usually for 7 days or 5 days straight, but I'll be showing you how I cook my food, also how I store them to cook later in the week. So yes, let's get started. Now I use some items that really help my meal prepping to be as easy as it can be, and one of that is some sandwich bags. I use them for my snacks and also to store food to cook later in the week. I also use a salad spinner. I can't live without a salad spinner. They're great for salads. They take out all the water so that your salad is not soggy, and the same applies to my smoothies and my juices. And I got mine from Lakeland, but you could check online on Amazon. I'm sure you'll be able to find some. I also use some glass containers. I love using glass containers because I find that they keep my food fresher for longer. So I like to wash all my vegetables in some water, and what I do is I split them in half. I put some aside to cook later in the week, as I know they're clean and fresh and I could just whip them out and start cooking, and I cut up the rest for what I'm going to use today. So when that's done, I've set that aside. I like to put my spinach into like a large colander, am I saying it right, or a sieve? I think I say it weird, and I run it under some cold water just to make sure that it's nice and clean and any grit or any nitty bitty is out of my spinach. I do the same with the kale, and I wash that. I do that with any green veg, and I just think it's a really easy way to wash your leaves. When that's done, I place them into the salad spinner and I just cover it and get to work. Absolutely love the salad spinner. As you could tell, I get quite excited when I'm pressing it down. I think that's how you do it, or if not, I think you press it down and you leave it, but hey. Whee! So once that's done, this is all my smoothie and green juice prep. As you can see, I've got some garlic and ginger. I love using ginger in my juices, some avocado, some coconut milk, and I've also got some celery, apple, cucumber and lime. But what I'm doing now is I'm just placing a handful of the spinach and kale into a sandwich or freezer bag, and I use this per serving. So what I'm placing into that is what I'm actually going to have per juice or per smoothie. And I also like to label them. I think this is very helpful when you're storing your food. So I put the contents, the date, and just basically the content and the date, and so I know what's inside. And I'll also write down whether I want to use it for a smoothie or a juice, as you can see right here. So yeah, that's very, very handy. And I just place them aside. I put half of that in the fridge and the rest maybe in the freezer. And so this is basically what my green smoothie would look like in the morning. I just whip this out and I just make it there. It's great for breakfast, along with my juice sometimes, and yeah, it just makes it so much simpler. So over to the plantain and banana bread. Now I love doing this because it saves you so much money and time. You don't need to buy bread. It's obviously healthier, and you can have it for breakfast or a snack. So what I'm doing here is I'm chopping up roughly some bananas. I'm using 3 bananas, and I do like to, at this point in time, I weighed them just so I can have some sort of idea for next time. And what I like to do is I like to mash them up with a fork. It's always good to use some overly ripe bananas just because they're slightly sweeter and they're just easier to mash. So once that's done, I'm going to take my plantain and I'm going to break it up into pieces. I used 1 whole plantain, and you just mash that in. A lot of people get confused with plantain and bananas, and they think they're the same, but they are completely different. Plantain tends to have a lot more starch inside, so it needs to be cooked down just so the starch can sort of like dissolve and so it can digest properly. If you eat plantain raw, you will have really bad cramps and you might fall a little ill. So please just try and differentiate. Plantains are usually bigger than a banana. They're pretty obvious sometimes, but if you're not sure, please ask somebody who knows. Once that's done, I like to add just a splash of olive oil. And then right now I'm adding in my flour through a sieve, just so I can get that fine sort of flat, if that makes sense. And then I'm going to add my cinnamon, some salt. You've got to have salt. And I like to whisk all of this. So this is all the dry ingredients I'm going to be using for this recipe. And then I'm going to add a bicarbonate of soda. So once that's done, I'll whisk all of that together. Then I crack 3 eggs. You can use 2, but I think 3 would do for this recipe. And I like to whisk all of that together. This is my favorite part of, you know, baking, is when you mix the dry and wet ingredients together. It's so therapeutic. I like to add a bit more extra oil, and this basically keeps the bread nice and moist. And right here I've got some African nutmeg, and what I like to do is I like to crush them. They have a very I can't describe it, sort of a slight, I don't think spice is the right word for it, but it's got a very nice taste to it. But you can use normal nutmeg. And when that's done, I add it in alongside my plantain and banana mash, and I mix it in with the wet ingredient, and I watch it form like a thick custard-like batter. I got a little tired, guys, so I switched over to the electrical hand mixer, but you can use your arms as it's a good workout. You don't need to use an electrical mixer. But yes, I didn't show you guys, but alongside adding the golden syrup, maple syrup, I also add in some cider vinegar, or you could use some lemon zest. It just takes away that sort of eggy flavour you might find in the bread, and also add a kick of freshness to it. And when that's done, I pour all of that into a lined baking tray, and alternatively you can oil it, but don't use as much oil as I did there. And then when I'm done, I just top it off with some pumpkin and linseed. You can top it off with some bananas. You can top it off with some grapes, raisins. However, I said grapes, I meant raisins. And this is what it looks like, guys, when it's done. I bake it for about 25 to 30 minutes. It doesn't take long. And when that's done, I just slice it, and this is what it looks like. I have this for breakfast and for snack throughout the week. And here, as you can see, I've got some avocado and some bacon, and it tastes so good. It also tastes really nice with jam and tea. So yes, this is a great inexpensive recipe for you guys to try out, and you probably won't need to buy bread again. But yeah, once that's done, we're going to move over to the quinoa and millet stir fry. Now I've split this up into 2. I'm going to show you guys 2 ways I do this. So the first way is I like to boil the quinoa and millet. This is the first process. You cook it for 15-20 minutes until it gets soft, just like rice. And then when that time's up, I like to add in some chilies, onions, a tiny bit of peppers, and some coconut oil. You guys saw me put coconut oil alongside some cumin and other seasonings. Now the coconut oil really flavors this. You don't need to use coconut milk or anything like that. Coconut oil goes a long way, and it is slightly healthier. When that's done, I like to throw in some dill and a bit of thyme. I find that herbs helps to really flavor this, especially if you don't want to use a lot of seasoning, if you're trying to be really strict with your healthy eating. But I like to go all out with my seasoning, but flavor it with some herbs and salt and coconut oil, and it would be so flavoursome. Probably don't need to put that much seasoning into it. This is the other option, and this is the stir fry. I just throw in some chopped onions and bell peppers, and then I add the cooked quinoa. I like to use red onions for this recipe, alongside some chili and African spices. And once that's done, that's what it looks like. I'm also showing you guys some blended pepper and tomato mix that I'm using as a marinade for the chicken. I also use it for other meats, and I store them in the fridge. I use throughout the week. I also use it as a base for a sauce. But right now I'm just marinating my chicken and turkey breasts, and when that's done, I wrap them up in foil. You don't need to do this, but I like to do this because I find that it helps to retain a bit of moisture in my chicken. When that's done, I pop it into the oven. And now we're going to move over to the tropical salad. I'm using some watermelon, pineapple, strawberries, mango, and that's it. So what I like to do is I like to chop up my pineapples. I buy them whole and chop them up because it's a lot cheaper than buying them from the supermarket, like pre-packaged. And I just place them into the glassware. I find the glassware is really, really handy when storing my fruits, because it keeps them fresher for longer. And I'm going to show you guys shortly how I preserve these for a long time. And the secret is lemon or lime juice will keep your fruits fresher for longer and stop it from going off. But I do like to consume them within a day or two. If I don't, I deep freeze them and use them for a smoothie, or I use them as a snack. So yes guys, that is my meal prep. It's very simple and easy to make. As you can see, the chicken and breasts are there. They didn't look like very visual appealing, but they tasted so good. And this is it guys. I will be doing a lot more meal prep videos, a bit more in depth and a bit more variety, but this is my first time. So yeah, I hope you like it. Make sure you thumbs up and like this video, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.